Now let's drop our guy down to a depth of 5 feet. Starting at 5 feet, some sort of protective system is mandatory regardless if there's any signs of trench failure or not. And this is because most excavation and trench accidents happen at depths of between 5 and 15 feet. And not surprisingly, these depths are the most common excavation depths found on construction jobs. As a matter of fact, even if we have a 3-foot trench, and workers are inside of that 3-foot trench, if that 3-foot trench is showing signs of failure, then we must implement a protective system. Now granted, this could be as simple as sloping it back, but it is still a protective system. And this brings into focus soil conditions. Benching and sloping are typically the most convenient methods of a protection system, but they are not always legal. There's Class A soil, being the most firm and stable soil. Then you've got Class B. And finally, there's Class C soil, which is considered the worst and most unstable soil. Right, wrong, or indifferent, OSHA has stated on multiple occasions that it considers any previously disturbed soil as Class C soil. Much of our work is conducted within an established utility right-of-way that is continually being disturbed due to road management or utility installation and maintenance. Factoring in those two tidbits of information would put us over here in these classifications most, not all, but most of the time. And as you can see by both federal and state standards, these lower tiered soils are not permitted to be benched, only sloped. As said, the most convenient method of shoring protection would be the sloping method, as it doesn't require any additional logistics of equipment and can be done either with a shovel or excavator, which is usually already on our site. The angle of repose, or the slope angle, is based on the soil classification, and there are an umpteenth number of visual and manual tests out there that you can use to determine this classification. The rub with sloping, however, is that to maintain that slope angle at increasing depths, it takes up a lot of real estate the deeper we get. Landowners do not appreciate it. Not only that, but if we are limited for real estate or are within the proximity to foundations that are best left undisturbed, as in substation environments, urban areas, or even some subdivisions, then this is very rarely an option. Not to mention it creates a hell of a spoils pile issue. Also very much dependent on soil classification is the benching method. This includes all the logistical variables associated with the sloping method: real estate, foundations, landowners, etc. The one additional caveat here, though, is the height of the first rise, and this is restricted by the width of the base of the trench. If the base of the trench is less than 5 feet, then the height of the first rise cannot exceed that same measurement. If the base of the trench is greater or equal to 5 feet, then the height of the first rise may be up to but not exceeding 5 feet. And then there's the assortment of various mechanical protective systems out there. You've got trench shields, trench boxes, shoring plates and jacks, Z-sheeting, and the like. The common denominator between all of these mechanical protective systems is that we must keep the manufacturer's owner-operator's manual, or the tabulated data, on site whenever that protective system is in use. This is no different than having to have the owner-operator's manual present and immediately available for any of the yellow iron that we have on site. If a compliance officer shows up, we have to prove that we are using that protective system as per manufacturer specifications, and this is only possible with that tabulated data. Now, regardless of which type of protective system is used, even when it is benching or shoring, anything deeper than 20 feet requires the design and approval of a registered professional engineer. This is another reason why it is so important to have that owner's manual or tabulated data on site whenever that equipment is being used. If that manual says that the trench box can be used at a 40-foot depth, then this is more than likely because a registered professional engineer has approved it. In a case like this, that manual is now the design and stamped approval of that registered professional engineer. And before we leave the discussions regarding the 5-foot depth, let's not forget our requirement for access and egress. Now let's drop our guy down to 6 feet. It's been drilled into us that in the construction world, 6 feet is the starting point for fall protection considerations. So with that, there are any number of options to protect both workers and the public from falling into our excavations. Dependent on the exposure risk, there are options ranging from setting out traffic cones to running snow fence along the length of the trench, installing barricade tape, and even having the entire site barricaded or enclosed with chain link fencing and or concrete barriers. Whatever it takes to keep someone from getting hurt.